Everybody, welcome back to the Hot Mic Show. I'm Bill Whittle, and part two of the Glamour Trap episode, prompted by Rolling Stone's cover photograph of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, wondering why he can't be our president. And then, as we mentioned in the first half, the entire idea of Trudeau as this brilliant young man is essentially just plain showmanship. It's a flat. It's a prop. It's a set. It's something that's hollow. It doesn't exist. We talked about that in the first half. So we're here with our guest Steve Solomon, who's joining us. Steve, the liberals, the progressives, today have lost their minds that Donald Trump was elected, and they certainly disagree with his policies and all of that. But I think the visceral response to them, the emotional response to Trump, is that most of these people are offended by his, by the way he speaks. They think he's vulgar. They find him tacky and tasteless, and all of these surface kind of things. Now, we saw this before when people were comparing Barack Obama to George Bush. Barack Obama is extremely well-spoken. George Bush, not so much. George Bush, I think George Bush's English was a second language for him. I'm not sure he has a first language, but that's not the point. The point is, what's underneath? What is the person made of? What are the decisions that they're making? And, George Bush used to be a supersonic fighter pilot before he became president and ran a business. Barack Obama handed out forms in Chicago. And this connection between not just looks, but also eloquence, this idea that if you are very eloquent, you must be intelligent. And if you're not eloquent, then you can't be intelligent. This, I think, is the biggest part of this glamour trap.
I think that's a great thing to say, because if you look at Donald Trump's election, the people that put him over the top and got him into the White House were the Rust Belt people, the people who didn't go to Ivy colleges, the people who didn't go to the high-end private schools and get all this education with degrees. And they said, Donald Trump speaks the way that we think. And you can't say things these days. It's politically incorrect. Donald Trump came out and says things, and the people like that. So I think you're right. He doesn't have the flair of Barack Obama, the style of Justin Trudeau, but what he says and what he does matters. I compare it this way, Bill. If you look at the substance of what's happening, I keep going back to substance. What do these people do? If you were to compare Donald Trump to Justin Trudeau just paid $10.5 million to an Al-Qaeda terrorist who was in Guantanamo Bay from 2002 for killing one of our men. And I'm just, when I look at that substance of those guys on the left doing that, and then our guys standing up like Donald Trump and saying, we're not going to cater to this. We're not going to just lay back and let people do what they want. It's not flair, it's not style, it's not beauty, but it's the right thing to do. And the left doesn't care as much. They want the pretty stuff.
Yeah, that's right. It's a fundamental hollowness. I think it's a fundamental superficiality. I don't know why Trudeau gave an Al-Qaeda terrorist $10 million. I know that Barack Obama gave the Iranian mullahs something like 600.
He didn't want to do he said if the government of Canada was going to fight the lawsuit, because Omar Khadr was suing Canada, he said if they did that, that would cost 30 to 40 million, and he would rather pay 10.5 million, and that included a public apology from Canada, by the way, to a terrorist, to a man who killed Chris Spear in Afghanistan in 2002, to a murderer. That's the kind of leadership that the beautiful Canadians get.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's precisely exactly right. There are no principles there whatsoever, none, and it shows. It's a hollow shell. It's simply a reflection, and I like the idea of a reflection as an example, as a sort of a modifier or a way to understand the appeal of people like Barack Obama and Justin Trudeau to progressives. I like the idea of a reflection very much. Barack Obama himself essentially said, I don't have this quote verbatim, but it's very close to this. Look, I'm just a mirror that people can cast their hopes and dreams onto and reflect back to them what they want to see. And so what they want to see is, as you said, somebody that looks and speaks like them. And they want to see it so much that they absolutely cannot be convinced that these people are not the illusion that they want them to be. So again, speaking as a pastor, maybe we could wrap it up with this, Steve. Lucifer appeared as the bringer of light, right? Is just clouded, just cloaked in beauty and radiance, and and so attractive, so almost too beautiful to look at. That's a profound metaphor that goes back a very, very long way. And it sounds like it's trying to tell us something. And what it sounds like it's trying to tell us is exceptional beauty is usually the most surefire way for us to drop our guard against shenanigans and outright evil.
Oh, that's so powerful, Bill. Beauty to me is the most carnal of all the attributes of an individual. It is fleeting. It's only around for a few years, and then the wrinkles come, and you're not as pretty, and all the youth fades away. I think what you just mentioned, Satan, coming as an angel of light, that's so true, and that principle holds true throughout Scripture. Deception of beauty that will cause people to do wrong. For instance, that's one way the Antichrist is going to appear on the scene. If you follow Scripture and you believe Scripture, he will come speaking peace, he will come speaking unification, and it'll just be nice and convenient and pretty. And I think people just need to be on the lookout that beauty doesn't trick them into doing something wrong.
I know a few people have accused Barack Obama of being the Antichrist, and I'm sure a few are thinking the same thing about Justin Trudeau. But what I know about both of them, and I know a lot more about Justin Trudeau than I used to, makes me think they can't possibly be the Antichrist because they're not nearly smart enough. Not nearly. These are not terribly bright people, but they look bright and they know what to say. And that seems to be enough for our friends on the progressive left. Steve Solomon, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure having you with us, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you again real soon.
Great to be with you, Bill. Thanks for having me today.
My pleasure. That's it, folks. That's the glamour trap. It's not even, when you really get down to it, it's not even the external beauty, or a better word is the intrinsic beauty. It's not the intrinsic beauty of Justin Trudeau or Barack Obama that gives them the power. It's what the people who perceive them want to see. That's what gives them the power. They want to see a president who looks like them and talks like them and dresses like them and so on. Some people looked at Obama. We saw this all the time with these photographs with the big halo around the head and all this stuff. Some people thought he was an actual, honest-to-God Messiah come to earth to save them. But most of the people, the big movers and shakers, the celebrities and the people in the New York City news media and the billionaires up in Silicon Valley, what they saw in Barack Obama was a guy who went to Harvard Law School, who dressed very, very well, who knew how to handle himself at a cocktail party, and they assumed that he was just as smart as they were. Well, he's not. And frankly, if you've ever met any Hollywood celebrities, you know that being as smart as they are is not a high bar to clear. That'll do it for the Hot Mike Show for this week. We'll be back on Monday. Mike should have the bandages off by then, and we will see you next week right here on NRATV.